Welcome to No Office, a podcast about work, technology, and life from a remote company perspective. In Nozbe, we believe that work is not a place to go. It is a thing that you do. That is why since 2007, we run our company 100% remotely. In Nozbe, there is no office. The No Office podcast is sponsored by Nozbe Teams, a to-do app that helps modern teams do great things. Go to nozbe.com to learn more.
Don't cram 20 people on Zoom.
Fluorescent lighted office all day long. You probably are going to work from home.
Hello there. And Rafa is not here today, even though he was in the intro. This is episode number 24 of the No Office podcast about work, technology, and life from a remote company perspective. And today, I am not doing a solo show, though. I'm joined by a good friend and my iPad only buddy, Augusto Pinaud. So, Augusto, hello.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here.
Thanks, man, for joining me today. Rafa is not here. He told me, he's on vacation. This is summer. We go on and off. But he just gave me, any choice to have anybody on board. And, I was thinking about you, especially that my iPad 12.9 inch is not arriving still. So I thought, let's talk about your iPad.
I can show you mine.
Exactly. Here, jealous, #jealousy. And so we decided to talk about several things. So you've been working from home for quite a while now, and for almost forever. And you've been using mostly the iPad as your main device for this. So I think two things that we're gonna just blow people's minds today is the fact that you can work remotely from home doing what you do, and second thing, you can do it on the iPad, and you can do real work on the iPad as well, right?
I've been doing real work on the iPad since 2012, and it's been my main machine, and it is the machine that I use to run everything. I actually have more than one now surrounding me, but I do everything on the iPad.
Yeah. So let's keep blowing people's minds, out. So let's show the photo of your of the setup that you have. Like, what is this? Like, it looks like a set from the Matrix movie. Like, the one that Neo was learning jujitsu and stuff. Walk me through it. Like, there is.
So according to my nephew, the word to describe that setup is cool. Can I play Minecraft on all those at the same time?
I think you can, and it is cool.
So what you see in there is my main iPad today is a 12.9 M1, and that is there on the center. I still keep my iPad mini. If Apple will let me, I will get rid of the iPhone and just have two iPads, the big iPad and the iPad mini. So those two things. The other device you see in there, it's a Chromebook, and it's the device that I use to record podcasts and interviews. And the reason I pick up Chromebook is because I have zero temptation to play with it. So it's vanilla. I have nothing installed on it, no software other than Zoom and a browser. Therefore, it gives me no issues, and I have no notifications, no distractions, nothing. The next thing you will see in there is a white iPad Air. That is it's an old iPad, but it's the one that I use for demos when I'm teaching Nozbe Teams, because that allows me to have a different profile. There is nothing really of my real work. So it is more a showing, and then I can use my real iPad on that one and share text as I'm showing and doing demos. So that's really, really useful to have that demo iPad. It's an old iPad Air 2, and probably when Apple stopped updating the software, and I got lucky, they decided to put iOS 15 on that. So it's going to last at least one more year, and then we'll be replace it. And under that one, it is the 12.9 iPad that my original iPad Pro, so my original
Yeah.
12.9, that it lasts really, it works really well. I just wanted an M1. I cannot say it was really time to replace it. No, it was still working, but I was a combination that I wanted the Magic Keyboard and the new M1, so I took the plunge. But as you can see on that keyboard, I bought stickers to that keyboard because that keyboard did not have backlight. So what I did was I got into eBay and bought fluorescent keys, so it charged during the day, and then I can work into the night as it's dark in the room and have all the keys in there.
This is cool. I mean, this is the cool thing about the Magic Keyboard is that it does have backlight. So it's really glorious. I remember when I got the like 1 year ago when I got the Magic Keyboard, I was putting my girls to sleep, and then I started typing an article. And it was just perfect. It was quiet. It was in the night, and I could just type the article away on the keyboard. So, but the hack with fluorescent, stickers, it's fantastic. This is really cool.
Solve the problem for so many years.
So tell me. So you got the M1 iPad right now. So you're still keeping your old iPad around. What is your what's your long-term plan for the old device?
Oh, that thing is going to stay there until Apple decide not to update it anymore. And then when that happens, the M1 will take that place and I will replace to whatever is the next model. I have discovered that having the two iPad Pros next to it, because everything is shared, is the same software, is the same data, it really allows me to be incredible fast on certain things because I don't need to close. I can go and respond an email in here or go and do something quick on the iPad and leave the main iPad to what I was working. So I can do task switching much, much faster. So it is really, the first time I did it, I wasn't sure it was going to work. No. It is really game changer. It was game changer. And especially when I'm sitting here in the office and I'm working, and I'm, dealing with multiple things. It is fantastic to have it this way.
So, do you have, for example, notifications just set on one and not on the other, or on both? How do you, because it might go crazy, to have notifications on both?
Yeah, no. Notifications go. So the 12.9 is my main working machine, and that gets most of the work notifications. The iPad Mini gets most of my personal notifications, and then the other iPad, it gets the notification but do not give me any notifications, so I can open and see the emails that arrive. It's not to show me anything or to beep or to make any noise. Actually, not even the M1 in some cases show me on the top of the screen, but I have for years blocked any sound. Even on my phone, the default ringtone on my phone is a no ringtone that I record in GarageBand. So it makes no noise on purpose. I believe that you need to earn the right to make noise on the phone. And right now are my parents, my wife, and Alicia, my daughter. That's it.
All right. Yeah, makes perfect sense. Yeah, that's really I'm almost telling people that, try to turn off most of the notifications, like not to have them almost at all. Only the ones that are really, really important. And recently, for example, I got really selective about even people who I get notifications from. In Nozbe Teams, actually, we're building right now in a feature to also allow you to set times when you work and when you don't work. So this way you won't get notifications until next day. So yeah. So this is I think I'm allowed to talk about it. Rafael is not here, and he's the VP of product. He always punishes me for pre-announcing features, but also the fact is that we're working on it. So it's not it's going to be shipped. Because the idea is this.
That now we will know if Rafael is going to listen to episode 24 or not.
Exactly. So, but because the most in productivity space, the most annoying thing about we'll talk about it later about how to work in Nozbe Teams. But the idea when you work with a person is that I may work. I might be like, like Evelina, who's, in behind the scenes. She's a night owl, right? So she works at night. So let's say she works at night and she wants to, delegate some tasks to me or just mention me in some tasks, and she might not do it because she might think, I'm going to do it in the morning because, Michael might be, might get notification or might be alerted or whatever. So I might, wait. But when she waits, then the next day she might forget about it, or just not write it anymore.
Get busy.
Exactly. So the idea is that, she should be able to just, fire it off, like send me, whatever task my way. But because, I am away from work, I should not receive it. And I'm going to receive it in the morning. So this way it's like, it gives people who work time to do their stuff, regardless of everyone else. But then the system makes sure that the other people are not annoyed when they shouldn't.
Well, and that is the reason I have for the longest time have the personal and the working device, because I don't want even email. I only receive email on the big iPad. Yeah, it's configured on the phone, it's configured on the iPad mini, but it's turned off. I don't want to see email. For me, the iPad mini is to work in things that are not related to work. So when I grab that device, I don't want to have notifications of work. I carry both iPads most of the time with me anyways, okay, because that's how I work. I don't mind. But the moments that I want to say this, okay, I'm going to take half an hour off and I don't want to, I just grab the iPad mini. Can I be completely functional there? Yes. Do that give me all the notifications and everything else? No. And that is by design. It's the same reason my iPhone do not get email. I don't get any email address on the iPhone. I carry the iPad mini with me anyways. If I need to, I can activate the email and do it. But for me, it's not a practical device for email. I don't do good processing on the iPhone, has never been able to, has never cared for it. So what happened is I get the email and get the email again and do it again. Why I'm doing that to myself? And if it's that urgent, I can solve the problem. But other than that, people can wait until I get back to the iPad. That anyways, it's an arm reach 99% of the time.
Yeah, but isn't that difficult? When you have so many devices to configure, like have the mini, you have the two big iPads now, and you have the phone. Like, isn't that too much hassle?
Oh no, I have a checklist. There is a checklist of what each device is for, and what are the settings that I have on each one. So the only difference between the two large iPads is the notification settings. Everything else is the same. And I configure the iPad mini, all the email accounts are configured. There is a toggle switch. So I turn them off so they don't give me anything in there unless I said, okay, I really want to check work email. And this is the only device I have. For example, last weekend we are now living in New Jersey. So we went to the beach and the kids were playing and I had the iPad and I got a call for something with a client and he needed a response. So I pulled my iPad mini, turned on my email, got the email he needed, solved the issue, email back. And as soon as that email was out, checked with him. He said, yeah, we're good. Turn this toggle switch off and no more email. So the devices have that capability. Can I do that on my iPhone only? Yes. Do I want to have the distraction every time of seeing the emails and all that on my iPhone? No.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. So, I like. Do you, for example, when you install a new app that you want to try out, so you first install it on one of the iPads, but then when you start using it, then you do download it on the other iPads as well, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Initial installation happened on the main machine, in this case, the M1, and then you need to earn the privilege to get to the other devices.
Okay. So listen, app developers, you you have to earn the privilege to propagate on Augusto's other iPads.
It should be like that on everywhere. I test a ton of applications and things, so we need to be careful because otherwise you end up with clutter everywhere. And you open that thing and the clutter on the iOS devices is so bad that Apple needed to come with a way to organize it for people, because people didn't know anymore how to organize them. So that's the reason that nice function came. It's not for any other reason. And if you don't pay attention, the problem is some of the tools that are really going to help you to move forward, you are not going to find them, because you have that mixed with the tools and then thing that you download but never tested and everything else.
All right. So so now we know how many iPads you use, which devices you use, and what kind of policy you have for each of these devices. So tell me more about your home office, because I see this orange chair there, armchair. Like, what is this for?
That is a writing chair.
So
I don't write in the same place that I work. For me, writing require sitting, and it's something that I enjoy very, very much. So I don't write where I work. So I sit on that chair. There is a table that you can adjust the height. That table, even you can take it to stand-up desk if you want to. And then I just move it around and sit in that chair. And there is a table next to it if I want to have notes or if I want to have a drink. And then I write in that chair. The other advantage with that is it is really clear for my mind. And this is something that I have worked for years. I believe you need to give clear clues to your mind of what you're trying to accomplish. I have said for years, when I do weekly review, I put Beethoven 9th Symphony. I do coffee with milk. Other than that, I do espresso. Why? Because what I want is that the brain to quickly go into, oh, this guy put Beethoven. Okay, I guess it's weekly review time. Let's put the mindset that we need to. Writing happens the same way. If I try to write where I'm sitting in here, where I'm producing podcast or working or meeting with clients, my mind is going at a different speed. There is an incredible article by Paul Graham called The Manager and the Maker. And that's from where I get the idea. And he said the manager leave on 15 minutes increments or 30 minutes increments. And he can move from one 15-minute to the next one, no issues. The maker instead require this slow, larger chunks of time to really be able. The worst thing you can do to a maker is say, okay, you have 12 minutes to write that blog post. That is the worst recipe you can create for writer's block. So no more ideas you will get. So that's the distinction. The black serious chair is for the manager, and then the makers sit on the fun orange one.
And this is actually a technique I used to finally finish my No Office book. So finish writing it. It's not finished. It's not really launched yet. It's going to be launching in the fall, and the whole promotion will step in there. But the writing part, you were right. I mean, I remember I had a big chunk of like 3 months of procrastinating on writing on the book, because I was, of course, busy running Nozbe, and to really overcome the procrastination, I went to the roots. I went to the balcony, because on the balcony I had this setup to write. So I just took my iPad, took my magic keyboard, my iPad, and just put the iPad there on the balcony and started typing. And just the magic happened. Like, my brain switched to writing, and just the things started. And then I wrote each chapter there, and I finished it off there. So it was glorious. It was just this as you said, the switch of location, of context, and letting the brain do the magic.
Yeah, that is really, really important. And the more you identify what are those change that you need, what are those clues that your brain need to make you effective, the fastest you can really get quality work done.
Yeah, totally. So so there is another pro tip for you listening here, that just really, and I remember it was the same with weekly review. It was you who convinced me to have a routine for Friday, to just on Friday go to like a certain cafeteria, like order certain beverage, like get into the mindset and listen to certain music. I'm listening to Ludovico Einaudi when I'm doing a weekly review or quarterly review. So it's just listen to something, just put your mind into this, mindset and this mood groove to do the review. So I think it's the same with writing and with any other kind of like long-term activity, as you said, the producing activity where you really have to just produce some results. A funny thing, I was flying into to here to my hometown, and it was it was the end of the quarter. It was time for quarterly review. And with the quarterly review, I very often also procrastinate on doing it because it's a big review. Like just have to really dive deep. I have to reread my my journal entries. Like it's a long thing. But on the plane, I love doing that, and I've done it several times on the plane because coincidentally I was on the plane, in the beginning of July. So I just took my iPad, and I was tired, but I took my iPad and started doing the quarterly review. And again, this mindset of being in the air, offline, there is no internet connection. I'm very high up in the sky, so I have the perspective, on life from 10,000 feet or more. I think it's more. Anyway, it's 50,000 feet. Like how it's 10,000 meters, so it's 50 feet, right?
Right.
So
There's around 30,000 feet should be.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, high up in the sky, and I did it like in 3 hours. Like in the whole flight, I managed to do the whole quarterly review because I was in this mindset, and it wasn't the first time that I did a quarterly review. So I think next time a hack for me would be just at the end of September, just fly somewhere. Actually, I am.
I on a past life, and you met me in that past life. I live on a plane for a living, or that's at least how it felt when you look at it in perspective. Okay, I was traveling 250,000 miles a year. And that was the reason I got the first iPad, because I used to carry a bag that weighed 65 pounds, 2 laptops, and all this amount of stuff. And when I look at that, I say, well, I can replace the scanner with a camera. I can replace mostly everything with this iPad. And there was a no-brainer for me to go for the iPad, and gone from that, roller double back case to something, that every time is smaller and it's smaller and thinner every time. But I remember to plan ahead and cherish those moments in the plane, because there is something about the non-interruption, no other activity. You can basically do that. You can read or you can sleep. That's it.
Yeah.
And it is so productive or at least it was so productive for me at the time.
Of course. Yeah. So, all right. So, tell me, just to wrap up the whole story of your home office. So, right now you live in New Jersey. You have this. You've been there for like a year right now, right?
It's a year now. Yes.
Exactly. Because you moved in the beginning.
We moved timely. The day we moved to this house, the day that the governor of New Jersey says we are going to lock down the state.
Man. Yeah, and the best part, like when you told me that you were moving to New Jersey, I said, like I'm gonna visit you, man, because it's like every excuse to go to New York is perfect. So I would just fly to visit you, and then the pandemic happened, so there was no visitation.
I'm going to tell you, I owe to my son a promise, because he said that, well, since his birthday we were here, he wanted to go to the Statue of Liberty to the top, and I promised him that we were going to go. So, as in the same way, I owe that promise to my son, you owe still this trip to come.
Oh yes. Yeah, and the the worst part of everything is that we've been friends for I don't know, like many years, like 7 years, 8 years, I don't know, like many years. Yeah, and we have never seen each other in person.
That is true.
So it's a long time coming, and it's just getting overdue, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna come down. So yeah. So and also in our past life, so that we co-wrote a book, Ipad Only, and you can read it online on ipadonly.com. So the book is right now available for free. The book is a little bit outdated because it was written 6-7 years ago when we wrote it together.
It was written in 2013.
13, exactly. So,
8 years
so it was
ago.
8 years ago, exactly. So we've known each other for much more than that. So anyway, the book is a little bit outdated, but there are quite a few chapters that still stand the test of time about how the device helps us get focus, how the keyboard is optional on this device. Like there are so many things that are still evergreen, apart from our app advice, because the apps that we use right now are totally different from the apps that we've been using then.
But you see, I'm going to tell two funny things about that. One, the keyboard is optional, and one thing I love about the Magic Keyboard is I can plug it into the USB-C and take the iPad and leave the keyboard in the office, especially if I'm moving around the house. I love that. And then I come back and put it in there, and it's great. But recently, my wife came and saying, "Hey, maybe I should get an iPad Mini." Okay, and I went and say, "Hold on." And I went came to my office, pulled the iPad only book, and opened on the chapter where we told the story about her getting the iPad Mini and saying how the iPad Mini did not work for her. So 8 years later, I'm still quoting the book.
Exactly. That's the thing, sometimes we should reread our old stories to just remind ourselves that we were pretty smart back then, even though we thought we weren't. So okay, so let's take a break. I will talk more about the iPads and how to work on the iPad after the break. But the break is going to be different, because normally we put an ad here for Nozbe Teams, because Nozbe Teams is the proud sponsor of this podcast, because Nozbe Teams lets teams who might not be in the same office or in no office work together, because they share projects, tasks, and comments in these tasks, and this way they communicate and they get stuff done together. But instead of that, I'm going to ask you, Augusto, how you are using Nozbe Teams, and how do you like it so far?
I've been lucky to join the Nozbe Teams bandwagon. I think was on version 0.0.0. I actually been honored and lucky to discuss about Nozbe Teams before it was even called Nozbe Teams. So yes, I was really lucky on that sense. And as a productivity coach, one of the things I notice is personal productivity. It's great, but it doesn't work for everybody. And I spend sometimes some years researching to what I call now organizational productivity. And the difference is this. Personal productivity goes from the outside in. And I always tell people who are strong in personal productivity, I always ask them the following question. When have you shown your system to somebody else? And the answer to that question normally is never.
Exactly. So it's like silos, right? It's like everybody has their own system, and
That's correct. That is exactly what it is. It's a silo. So the problem with the silo is that the silo is about you. Organizational productivity instead goes the opposite direction, from the center out. And now you can use the strength and complement the weakness of everybody on that team. Not only that, now you can use trust as an element of power. Because it's not what you do of personal productivity is I send you a text, okay? And immediately I write down, waiting for Michael, whatever I send you. On organizational productivity, everything is open. It's not about who can do or cannot do. It's about how can we do this best together. And out of the many applications I have tested, Nozbe Teams works incredibly well to this concept of organizational productivity. And what I have seen on teams who are using this has been incredible, and on the result side.
Yeah. So I'm really happy that you helped me. Really, we were brainstorming many ideas before Nozbe Teams launched. We were talking about it. We were talking about because you as a productivity expert, I wanted to to pick your brain how to approach this. And as you know, Nozbe Teams was a result of a study of how people use personal productivity, Nozbe Personal, to work together in a team, and how we can leverage that to a team environment. Um, and the cool thing is that not only you like were part of the the early beta program and early beta user, and sharing with me your thoughts, but now you're even an author of a course on Nozbe Teams.
That's correct. There are three courses, three levels. The first
Mhm.
level is called Getting Things Done Together with Nozbe Teams. And it is really a basic levels, all the basic things that you need to move around in Nozbe Teams. Where are the things? What is an admin? Where is a project? Where are my projects that I complete? How can I find them again? Then the second level, it's called transforming your business with Nozbe Teams. And it's really now not about how you use the app, but how you use the app in that team setting, how you can start leveraging, how you can build trust, what are the 13 things that you need to look into your business, marketing, sales, branding, and how you integrate those and those skills into Nozbe Teams. And then the next level is called mastering Nozbe Teams. And now that's really designed not for necessarily the everybody, but for the person who is the head of the business. So now, okay, fine, I'm putting my organization into this. If I'm going to be the lead of this organization, I need to know how to use the software better than anybody else. And that's where that mastering level is for. How now can you look into get things like, for example, how I share a project with somebody outside of my organization so I can interact in the system that I manage even when they are outside of my organization.
Cool. So we'll link in the show notes to to how to get to your courses, because this is the main struggle of us like promoting Nozbe Teams, is that companies need to get it, but I think to get it, that not they shouldn't promote people having their silos and sending emails or Slack messages and relying on that, or just talking to each other in the same physical space, but really to share projects openly with each other, and tasks and comments. And the thing I find fascinating, and also like a little bit to our disadvantage, is the fact that people have to be a little bit more vulnerable, because they're actually exposing themselves with their tasks, with their with how they write stuff down, how they write comments, how they how they not only communicate with each other, but how they just operate, and so on one hand, I think for people it might be pretty hard, to as you said, to share your system basically through Nozbe Teams. But on the other hand, I think that people can learn from each other very quickly, right?
And I think that's exactly what allows them. When you look into what I call organizational productivity, the base of that is what I call the social fabric. So how we interact with each other. But then comes four aspects that is what make Nozbe Teams work incredibly well. One is you now have a common purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you live on a silo, this is your purpose. It has nothing to do with the company. I can like the company and all that, but it's really mine. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's common. Second is the coordinated effort. Okay. When you can look into, even if you're not an active member of that, when you can go and delegate a task and say somebody else and say, hey, I think you are the right person to look into this. And all that gets documented. That is incredible. The third part is the group trust, because the more trust you have, the least need for control there is. One of the things on the silo of personal productivity is the high level of control. Why? Because you lack trust for anything that is outside of that thing. Now you start getting that real trust. And finally, allows you to really have a strategic focus. And that strategic focus, what it will do is get the strengths of everybody on that team to be much better applied, and the weaknesses to being better compensated, so we can move much faster.
Yeah, the thing with trust, is the thing that people still don't get it. That that control is good, but trust to do the work is so much better, and the cultivating trust, not only with your subordinates or whatever, but cultivating trust between each other, between employees, between within the team, is integral part of the culture. And I think we still are struggling to communicate this, that with Nozbe Teams, actually this is a trust building app.
It is, because when you look in that spectrum, you have control in one side and then you have trust in the other one. And it's how you are going to move from this need to control to this real trust. The moment you get here to trust is the moment your company, organization is going to start thriving.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So anyway, that's Nozbe Teams, and you say that your customers are using it and are getting the hang of it. What are the main mistakes or pitfalls, or I don't know, issues that people have when using Nozbe Teams for the first time?
The biggest issue has nothing to do with Nozbe Teams. Really has to do with organizational productivity. Has to be with the fact that now everybody's looking, and the people feel vulnerable. And people feel, okay, what if I make a mistake? Even a grammar mistake, okay? Because now it will be there on the comments. And what if? So that is the first thing. The second thing that I found people to do is that concept of task, moving from tasks to task-based communication. Changing that from waiting for Michael to now, hey, Michael, can you take care of this? That is really the second struggle. But what I tell to clients is, remember, productivity, it's all about trust in yourself and trusting that the system you have to bring you the stuff to bring the stuff to your attention when it's needed. One of the things great in here is that you can get the attention if you wake up at 2 a.m. as the owner of the business or the manager or whatever, and say, where is this project? You can open that thing and find it, even if you have not been notified. Okay, and that's great. But if you need if somebody on your team really need the attention, they will get your attention in seconds. And that is really, really powerful, because that, again, make trust on the center, that make productivity really happen.
Yeah, and to wrap it up, I'm going to give you an example of how this podcast came to be today, because I had because of vacations and Rafa not being here and all that stuff. I wasn't sure what to do today, what kind of podcast record. I had a few ideas, but wasn't sure about any of them. And then I decided, it's kind of last minute, but I'm going to ask you if you want to join me, and because I wanted to have you anyway, but I thought, let's do this now if you can, and you could, which is great. But the cool thing was we connected on iMessage, as we always do, so I asked you if you're available. But after that, I just went in to Nozbe Teams, to our shared project, because we have a joint project between your company and my company. We have a joint project because we coordinate your course and stuff, and and other things. And I went to this joint project. I saw that Evelina, who's behind the scenes today, she wasn't in the project, so I invited Evelina to join the project so that she could also, be connected with you. And then I just wrote a task, podcast for today, the topics, the ideas, what I need from you, everything in one comment, mentioning Evelina, mentioning you, actually delegating tasks to you, basically, and that's it. And no, I delegated the task to Evelina, but I mentioned you and both of you. So anyway, it was all in the task, and I knew that the moment I sent the task, you will be notified. You already had the heads up. Everything will happen. And then I went. I had most of the day free today because I was with my family. But I after a few hours I checked in and I saw that in the task I already saw the photos. Everything is just happening. In the comments of the task, I didn't have to ask you. How is the thing? I didn't have to ask Evelina how is the thing with Augusto? Did you manage or whatever? The typical thing. Give me status update or whatever. No, I just went to the same task and I checked. Okay, everything is there. They are communicating, they are exchanging comments. Everything is on track. I didn't have to ask anyone anything. I could
Not only
just check
that,
it in the system.
if you go to email, now you need to send another email, okay? That may be email number 1000 for Evelina that getting, okay, did you get Augusto things for Augusto? Yes, I got them. Or did you got them all? And now you go, no. You make communication when communication is needed.
Yeah.
But this will allow you to eliminate all that unnecessary communication. As you said, you can open the project, check what happened, check if the assets were there or were not there. Fine. And if somebody will have needs something input from you, you will have just been mentioned. Hey, Michael, can you give him? And Michael, can you give us input? And that's it. That's what make this so powerful. Because now, again, what you are doing is getting on the strength of the people instead of trying to protect you from the weakness of them.
Exactly. And you really, and getting back to our thing, which is productivity, like you spare all this, status updates, checkups, this interrupting people. I don't have to interrupt you. I don't have to interrupt Evelina. I don't have to interrupt anyone to make sure that I know what's going on. And to me, this is like the best thing ever, that I don't have to interrupt anyone to know what's happening. And if they need my input, or if I'm even not asked, I can send my input by just adding a comment to a task, unsolicited. So if I have some brilliant thought or a brilliant idea for this podcast, I can just put it right there, and you might choose to go with it or not.
Or not, but it's exactly where the game change comes. When you can now do that, it really will bring the best out of your team, because now you're free to bring really those skills, those things that you're strong, and ask for help on those things that you may not be as strong.
Exactly. So okay, so that's enough for Nozbe Teams, but I think we went for a longer rant, but I think it was very, very useful to folks, because it was really about, as you said, not the app, but actually the organization productivity, the whole shift to trust, the whole shift to different way of communicating, task-based communication, as you mentioned. Now, getting back to the show, iPad only. As we mentioned, we've been using iPads for a very long time. But if you could, give us which kind of apps, for example, right now you use on the iPad, or what kind of, what is the main use case of your iPad right now for your work?
Well, I do a lot of coaching, and so that I write a lot on the iPad. So for books, a Scrivener is my application of choice. I've been on a Scrivener for many, many years, and there are few projects that I have not done on a Scrivener. iPad only been one of those.
Yes,
because of the it's not great for collaboration, but other than that, it's incredible. It's a fantastic application. So that's one. So I write a lot. So that and I use a lot of Pages. I have a couple of clients that they make me use Word, so I use Word for them.
But do you actually have Scrivener, Word on your iPad installed?
I do.
Yeah. Okay.
I do. Yeah.
You have Word on your iPad, man.
Well, hey, clients live on Office 365, and it's the way they exchange. I actually have Microsoft Teams on the iPad because there is a couple of clients that's how they
of course,
interact with everything. So that's Zoom. I have that, Zoom and Meet, obviously, but I spend, I would say, most of my day on camera, via Zoom, via Meet, via that's where it goes, and that's part of the reason when you show the picture, I have this thing just for that. It's always on the right place. It's always looking at my face, and allows me to work in certain things. Hey, we need to exchange information. I can do that without minimizing, going dark, and all that. It is a really fantastic setup. On the M1, the M1 is all about work. So most of what I have installed there, it's about work. It's where my mind maps is where Good Notes is. That is what the application I use to take notes and annotate PDFs and all that. One thing that I found now that I have the two iPads is you can get the iPad, and the iPad will fit great under the Magic Keyboard and the gap between the keyboard and the iPad. So now you can do the dual screen, take notes on the bottom and interact with the top with the applications. And it's fantastic. Okay, I'm going to say, because now you can put it there and you are taking notes, but you are also interacting with the top on the iPad. So you really have two completely functional computers work. So that works incredibly well. On my Mini, obviously there is email and I have mail for most of my things. I have a couple of things that move in Microsoft Outlook. But this is the machine that I mostly use for work, testing applications and those kind of things. The iPad Mini then it is set up so I can really take that thing and work anywhere, but a lot of the working features are not active. They're toggled to be off because it's the machine that I use to think. So I want to go take it outside to the backyard and mind map or do longhand write. One thing that I love with the iPad is the script thing, because now I can open a note and handwrite and force me to slow down. So I need to write more neatly. And that force me to slow down on the thinking. And that has been incredible because I can type very fast. So typing don't have the same ability to journal and digest. When I'm handwriting that way and it's converting into text, I'm forced to slow down. And I can do that even on day one, and it will turn it into text, and it's really awesome.
And for mind maps, which app do you use for mind maps? MindNote?
MindNote, I think it is, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I use the same one.
MindNote, yes.
Yeah, cool. So when you write, then you usually write like for yourself, like for, I don't know, for your blog or whatever, you use Scrivener then as well, or just Scrivener is for books?
Scrivener is for books, and then I use Ulysses for blogs, posts, and short. Yeah. And the reason of that is Ulysses I can open and I can archive them in there and I can search and it will find them all. So I can type iPad only and it will tell me anything that I have written that is in Ulysses that I have used the word iPad only. So it allows me to look when I want, okay, what I have said about this, let me look. I can go really, really fast. Scrivener is not as friendly for do these kind of things.
Yeah, it's more for like these kind of projects, that the book projects. Yeah. So perfect. So yeah, it's kind of an overkill to use two iPads like this, like as you said, but it's fun anyway. You're right, completely. So for handwriting, I use the paper-like, cover on the iPad, and it's pretty good. It gives me this additional feel like it's really writing on something. And to me the cool thing about the new iPads, I mean the new design from 2018, the new iPad Pros, is the fact that the pencil snaps on the on the screen, I mean on the iPad. So this way it's just it's always there and it's always charged, so I can use it like anytime. And I've been using it much more just because it's there. So
I had on the old iPad, I had it here and I bought this thing in Amazon and I had it there. So it was really useful. But I need to admit that the pencil on the top of the iPad, it is something fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting that you have like this iPad thing, it's interesting that you have like a different device for that. Yeah, but
I think they call that, I don't remember who coined the term of the multi-pad lifestyle or something like that.
Yeah, multi-iPad lifestyle, whatever. But yeah, but that's kind of the thing. Anyway, any other tips or like, I don't know, accessories that you use that for the iPad, apart from this crazy? So what's the crazy desk that the Matrix desk that you have? Like, what is this thing? Like, it's a special.
This thing is called the Air Desk, and it's basically a vertical pole, and you can put arms all around. So there is a couple of things that I love about it. One is that if I get bored, I can deconstruct it and construct it again.
Mhm.
Or if I found things or reasons that I need changes. So, for example, when I bought this microphone for podcasting, okay, I needed to change so the microphone and the arm and all that could fit. So allows me to have that flexibility, but also you really don't have a lot of space for clutter because there are small desks. So
Mhm.
this allow me to keep the things clean and organized and without clutter. And I need all the help in the world that I can get for that.
Yeah. But then again, apart from all these benefits, there's additional benefit that this just looks cool.
Yes. Yeah. And not only that, it is really nice to be able to have everything really so close. And it's nice to have the iPads. And that, again, allows me to do a lot more things without trying to multitask in the iPad. Can you multitask on it? Yes, I don't. There are things that I do with a split screen that I work on both things, when I'm moving information one way to the other, but allow me to get at being able to shift my attention without losing the attention. It's really something that is priceless for me.
Yeah, so I wanted to point it out actually about the iPads. So the all video conferencing software packages that we have now, but especially Zoom, they have improved substantially over the last year. So, for example, right now, what I do sometimes on the meetings, that if I want to have meeting just with the iPad, I split screen the meeting and the notes for the meeting. And like, so, for example, when we go through. When we review like something, a document together in the team, I can have on the one side the document and on the other side the meeting.
Right.
And it's very good. I don't have to before in the iPad you had to just choose either you're in the conference room, people can see you, or you can do something on the iPad. Now actually you can do both, so you can do more kind of multitasking in that sense, that you can have that both.
So let me share a toy with you. This thing is called the Hold Me. Okay, and it's basically a glorified magnet with an angle. Okay? But then you can put it in the back of the iPad, and now you can put the phone there. I don't know where my phone is. Here is my phone. Bear with me. Sorry for the microphone's heating. And now I can go put the video there and have the full use of the iPad anywhere I go.
Okay, we'll put a link in the show notes. I'm going to buy this. This is an Insta buy. This is very cool. So it uses the magnets on the iPad and the magnets on the MagSafe. This is fantastic.
And then you put it in there, you put it on the top, so you now have the full access to everything of the capabilities on the iPad, and you keep the video on the top.
That's very, very cool. That's very cool. So this is it. This is our No Office podcast, basically, because like whenever we do a podcast, we will just always share something that you have to buy. So apart from obviously getting Nozbe Teams account, but there are many gadgets and many things that you can do to basically improve your home office. And I think it's so cool that we can share so many different, like completely different home offices, and also as I mentioned, tell people that there are people who do real work on the iPads and are loving it. So Augusto, thank you so much for being together with me today. So let me pull your course again to just to direct people to your course. So getting things done together with Nozbe Teams, and then transforming how your business works using Nozbe Teams, and mastering Nozbe Teams. So I'm really happy that you chose Nozbe Teams as your platform to preach productivity, basically organization productivity. Yeah. So that's fantastic. So Augusto, thank you so much for being together today.
Thank you very much, and see you next time on your favorite device.
Exactly. And to wrap it up, I just want to remind you that this episode has not been created in the office, because in Nozbe there is no office. And your hosts today were myself, Michael Slewinski, and Augusto Pinaud, our special guest. So thanks, Augusto. All the links and the show notes you can find at nooffice.fm/24. And if you want to support us, sign up for a free Nozbe Teams account and convince your boss to use Nozbe Teams and use task-based communication. Nozbe Teams is free for up to 5 users and 5 active projects. So there is really no excuse not to try. And the audio version of this podcast will be produced by Marco Couto, and the visual identification as well, and the video version, and then proofreading by Magda Błaszczyk, promotion by Ewelina Przywara, and the whole production process has been coordinated in the project, in one project of Nozbe Teams app. Actually, 2 projects today, because there was a task in our common project, and there was a whole project just for this episode. We use this clone projects feature to just clone a template a project for each episode of this podcast. And to wrap it up, I want to just also remind you that work is not the place to go. It's a thing that you do, and you can do it on an iPad. You can do it on many iPads, like Augusto does, or you can do it on a MacBook Air, or on whatever device you feel like. So, and wherever you feel like. So, again, work is not a place to go. It's a thing that you do. And see you in the next episode. Thank you. Don't cram 20 people on Zoom.
Fluorescent lighted office all day long. You probably are going to work from home.